Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a podcast where most weeks they get together to talk about the sport of triathlon, unlike last week, because we were bad boys last week, Jimbo. We actually did have technical problems. That is Jimbo James Bale. I am Tim Ford, and yes, we need to apologise that last week we missed an episode. The day or the night we went to record, I got hit by a blackout and had no power, and as such, we couldn't do it, and then I was in Melbourne, so I couldn't make it up. But Jimbo, the good news is almost nothing happened in triathlon, so it's not like the world was waiting with bated breath to get our opinion on it.
Yeah, we didn't miss much. Where the fuck have you been, though? Because it wasn't just 1 week you've missed. You've been persona non grata for some time.
I've been all over the place, man. I was in Phuket I was in Singapore, then I was in Phuket. Phuket was great to hang out with Georgia Taylor Brown, Belinda Granger, Maka was there. Then I was in Melbourne last weekend for a couple of days, and I'm actually about to get on a plane and go back to Singapore today. So I just love flying, mate. I love sitting in an airplane. It's my favorite place to be. So yes, I'm all over. My wife's running the Singapore Marathon this weekend, which I'm very actually excited to see how she goes. And I am going to attempt to run the Singapore Half Marathon on Saturday morning. Now, James, Singapore, we've been there together. We've had some good times in Singapore.
Yeah.
Sort of place you'd like to run a half marathon or marathon?
No, fuck no. I would take the driving rain of Dartmoor over Singapore any day.
So for people, probably not everyone's aware of Singapore. Most people are, but it's on the equator. So it is both very hot and very humid. And to counter this, James, guess what time the races start on Saturday and Sunday this week?
I know that I've got some friends in Singapore, so I know that races normally start like ridiculously early, sort of 1, 2, 3 in the morning to try and combat the heat. Yeah, 4:30.
I hate getting up early for races.
For me. For someone like me, even for a local starting at 3, 4 in the morning, they'd feel cool. But it would still be, 26, 27 degrees? I'd be melting.
I think because when I was in Singapore a couple of weeks ago, I had to be at the airport like 6 a.m. So I was up at 4:30 and it was not hot. Like, it's not hot. It's just muggy. Like, it's that humidity.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. And when I was in Phuket a couple of weeks ago, same thing. I went for a run. We actually did a track session at like 6 in the morning, and it's not hot, but you start running and the air is so thick. It's like, you hear people talk about at altitude. It's like breathing through a straw. Like, I was doing like 5-minute pace jogging to the track, and I was like, why is this so hard? And I'm like, oh, that's right. The air is literally water. I'm basically trying to breathe underwater at this point. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting much, but I have been running well. So that's the I guess the silver lining. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I've been seeing.
Oh, marathon PB incoming, mate.
No, absolutely not. I do not think that is a ways away. Yeah. We'll see. Jimbo, we're getting towards the end of the year. We were just discussing before.
Inching, day by day towards the end of the year. Enthusiasm levels are high.
They are
for triathlon and podcasting right now.
So what we're doing, this is our third last episode for the year. Next week, we will do a preview episode of the Qatar T100 Grand Final. We will also announce the nominees for the podcast awards. And then the week after that, we will do wrap up from Qatar, a bit of season wrap up, and the podcast award announcement, because we'll let our patrons vote. We will also, over the next 2 weeks, record the bonus episodes that we will release over our break, because from, I think, the 19th will be the last episode that comes out until, I think it's like the 23rd of January will be the first episode of the year. So about a month off. And yeah, we'll be doing bonus weekly episodes for our patrons to fill that gap. So if you want to get those episodes, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. We will go into all sorts of things. But I think after what's been happening in the last few weeks, there's going to be a lot to talk about on those bonus episodes. Mate, do you maybe want to start there this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you probably heard, I don't know whether you listened to the episode or not, that me, Andy, and Tim Hemming did after Dubai. A lot of water's gone under the bridge since then. But since then, we didn't have opportunity on that podcast. It hadn't happened yet to discuss the PTO's formal response to Dubai, which came out a week or so ago. I'm very interested to hear your opinion on what happened in Dubai. Because as you know, I went through it with Tim Hemming in a measured way. He's very objective. I always appreciate his opinion on things and his very sort of global perspective. And then I went through it with Andy, getting his sort of athlete's take. Their opinions were quite opposite each other. Tim was very forgiving. Andy was very much like, count your laps, like disqualify 14 people from that race. I'm interested to know what you think.
Yeah, I listened. I did listen actually, and when I was listening to you and Tim talking, I was like, it's probably good that I'm not on this episode because I think my thoughts are probably going to be a lot more colorful than that. I thought it was terrible, mate. Like I watched the sequence of events that I remember that day was I'd set up the bike trainer. I tried to do the ride. I tried to ride outside. I had to end right up on the trainer. I was like, oh, I'll put the T100 on, and I think there was a point where it was pretty early on. I messaged the group. I'm on the bike trainer watching this race. Going, this is so boring. This race looks so bad. It looked like a COVID race to start with. Like let's put everything else aside.
It sounds like you're discussing some sort of murder that's happened in your life. You know, the sequence of events I remember that day. I'd set up my bike trainer. That's when I saw the blood.
That's right. And then at the 16:03, and then I'm watching this race going, this is so uninspiring. Nothing is really doing. Hayden's ridden to the front. It's game over. And then suddenly you're like, what the fuck has just happened? Hayden's just done an extra lap. And my first thought was, it's like Super Try again. It's like Super Try to lose. And I do have to give Super Try a little bit of credit because
they were straight on it.
so
straight on it.
I love the thought that they've got that clip ready to go. And they're just like, at some point, he's probably going to do it again. Let's be ready. They've got it saved in their drafts. They just need to change the name of the event.
It's like how I know you've got a clip of something I've said on the podcast that's never been released, ready to go for that day that you need it.
I'll never release that. I'll never release that, James, unless you wrong me really badly. And then
that's what I mean, yeah.
It's actually the reason we keep doing the show is you're so scared of that episode coming, or that clip coming out. No, it was like, what the fuck is happening? And to be honest, it was like, yeah, that's bad. And then I was able to like move on. I was like, okay, they're out. I was very, very upset because obviously we had the big fantasy league competition between the two of us, and that was like 3 of my picks instantly was like, well, fuck. So yes, I also concede that you're going to beat me in the fantasy league. Thanks, Hayden.
Mate, I'm only like 30 points ahead of you. We're super close.
I thought it wasn't. I thought you got like a bit of a gap on me.
No. The gap had narrowed. I thought because somebody's come between us. When I first glanced, I thought the gap had extended.
So did I.
They've just slotted right in between, and we've got closer.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it is back on then. But
it is still on. I was very surprised when you said I concede. I was like, the points deficit is less, mate.
I'm not a numbers guy. Okay, maybe I don't concede. We'll see. Maybe I do. So I was a bit upset about that, but then I was like, okay, who cares? Like, actually, to be honest, I'm actually quite okay with this because I keep saying you need to remove Hayden Wild from an event to make it a bit more entertaining. And then it fucking happened again. And then it happened again. Like the whole thing, the confusion, the what the hell is going on, the way it wasn't really like, I mean, I love Jan Frodeno. I loved how raw Jan Frodeno, like Jan Frodeno just doesn't give a fuck. He's like on the coast, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's just like losing it while the other guys are trying to sort of maintain composure. But no, ultimately, I thought it was a very bad look, and not just from the actual mistakes. I think that the race itself looks very bad because it is a ghost town, and it stands to my point that I've made previously that you look at a race like Wollongong, which wasn't originally a T100 event, it was shoehorned in at the last minute. It looked incredible. You had the crowds, you had everything. You compare that to like a big city race like Dubai, which we know is important or perceived to be important. Like it looked awful. Like it just looks like such a bad, empty race. And then you have, the fact that nobody really knows. And I really felt so bad for Morgan Pearson because it's the biggest result of his life. Like truly it is, yes, he's won medals at the Olympics and stuff, but we finally got to see him do what I've known he's capable. I've spoken about that. I think he's, that's the sort of performance we expect of him. And he finishes the race and there's already 10 people ahead of him. Now,
it was a total meltdown, wasn't it? It was a meltdown.
Everything about it just looked bad. And then you can tell
If
that
the bike thing had happened in isolation, I think it would just be, oh,
Yeah.
they fucked it.
Yeah,
Do
I
you know what I
agree.
mean? Yeah, buttressing that, and it wouldn't be mentioned again. It would just be, oh, like happened in Super League. Oh well, they didn't count their laps. It only matters because of what happened afterwards, because those two things came as a duality.
Correct. And that's what I mean. It's like, it's not just one thing, it's the other. And then, yeah, I don't know. I also then didn't like the fact that you've got Hayden running through the field, basically yelling at other competitors. And then we like Hayden, we've known Hayden for a long time. Hayden is a great guy, but he didn't come out of this looking very good to me, I think. And then the fact that he waits days to let everybody else make a statement and put out the most vanilla statement you've ever seen. It sort of reminds me, like, what I feel like I've seen with Hayden Wild this year is he does something, and then days later, his team around him works out the best neutral solution thing for him to say, and then he does it, like he did with the shoes. And so he's very good at responding the correct way, but it takes so long after that I question how genuine it is, or like it seems very thought out to me.
I think Andy made a good point when he was on, I was chatting to him about it, and he said he didn't like how the T100 didn't give Hayden the right amount of information he required when he came into T2 to say, right, you've done an extra lap. It's your fault. Your competitors have not done one less lap. You have done an extra lap. You're now a lap up, a lap down. Like, you got work to do. So he was then running through the field, talking to people,
Blaming them.
confusing people essentially, because they were like, well, I don't think I've done one extra lap. And he'd be like, well, I've done the right amount of laps. And there's a chance that impacts the race because it's a spread of misinformation.
You're right, because if you've got the thing saying that, this is the thing, exactly. If he's run past everybody, basically saying you've done one less lap, then the thing says come in.
DQ'd?
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, I actually fully agree with that sentiment. I think that's one of many things that could have been done better. But you can also tell that this was just something that they hadn't even contemplated, right? Like, and it's true. I do think that there should have been a bell. I actually didn't realize there wasn't, to be honest. I just assumed with so many laps on a course like this, you'd have somebody with a bell or some sort of lap counter. And I understand. I don't necessarily stand by that it's the athletes with a course like that and things like that. I can understand, but yeah, count the laps at some level. I do blame for the bike. I blame the athletes. I do blame the athletes.
But the thing that, and I disagree with Andy on this hard because he was like, I would disqualify those people, but and then I pushed back to him and said, well, what would you do if the thing board and an official is telling you you're done and you've got to go to the finish? You'd be like,
I'm not talking about the run. I'm talking about the bike. I'm talking about the bike.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
The run, I blame the officials. The run, I blame the officials.
100%. Yeah.
100%. No. I think the run is definitely the officials' fault, but the bike, I think, is the athlete's error. And I saw there is that clip where you can see somebody yelling at Hayden one more lap or whatever, but he's already passed the entrance transition at that point. And you're also the fact that he doesn't have his shoes out doesn't really seem to have intended to. And to be honest, the fact that he's done it in a race where there is a bell, we know Supertry has a bell, and he still fucking went to do an extra lap. So yeah, it's like a pattern of behavior a little bit, but. Yeah, I didn't like that stuff, and then I didn't like the carry on at the finish. I also found it weird that the PTO were highlighting his irritation on their socials because it's like, this doesn't look good for you guys, and now you've got an athlete highlighting that this doesn't look for you guys, and you're sort of trying to use it as. I thought that's a weird choice for me. Like I said, the run stuff, I felt very, very bad for Morgan Pearson because he did so well, and then I was heartbroken to see the confusion. Like Mika Newt looked very upset. Crossing the finish, like, I didn't win. What the hell is going? Like the fact that it wasn't anybody really seemed to know. And then there's these: was it a vote? Was it not a vote? How did it go? The rules. It just all seemed to me a bit crazy. And yeah, I personally think my personal opinion is all the athletes who didn't finish should have been disqualified. Especially with this whole concept of the race to Qatar. But again, we see things like Hayden used illegal shoes earlier. I think he should have been stripped of his points for those races. He wasn't. It feels like a little bit, and again, I don't have insight in PTR. I know you guys listen. I'm not privy, and I'm sure you probably have your reasons, but it does feel like they quite happy to go, we follow the World Triathlon rules when it suits them, and then other times, like to me, Hayden using illegal shoes is pretty clear cut. Lose the points. Like it's I don't understand if there is the discretion through the World Triathlon rules to allow an athlete to use an illegal thing without penalty. But in this situation, there's a rule that says, well, we can count back a lap. Like, I think the count back a lap, I can understand why they went with that option. But I also think when you do have athletes that have done the complete thing, yeah, I think the others should have been disqualified. Then we had the confusion. The other thing as well that I don't love is that it really overshadowed the women's race. The women's race was great. Like the fact that we had Kate and Julie Darren get off and then Julie, go and Kate try to go with her. And then we have Jess holding on and there's a lot of stuff happening, but it sort of didn't matter. Like I was much more interested in what the hell was going on with the men's race. That the women's race sort of became a bit of a non-event for me a little bit, which
Yeah, it did bleed into it, didn't it? Because the conversation was just ongoing and because there were no definitive decisions really quickly, that confusion bled into the women's race and the conversation was very much, certainly in the WhatsApp group where we discussed with people, it was very much not what was happening on the course in the women's race, it was what is gonna happen to the results of the men's race because they just fumbled it so hard.
yeah. So then we go to the response. So we see the PTO. We saw Sam Renouf come out with that quick video that he did on the Instagram, and I fucking hated it. I felt like somebody had a gun to his head. It was so just like corporate damage control. And again, I think Sam is a wonderful man. I think he does a great job. This was not it. And since then, I think the statements he's come out has been a lot more what I would have expected. I've heard other people calling for his resignation. I've seen some really interesting articles. One of our patrons, Tom Neptune, wrote a really, fascinating thing where he basically outlined, I think one of the things we cop a lot of heat, people saying, oh, we're so anti-T100. We're not. We actually really want them to succeed. This article that Tom wrote that I found really fascinating was when you actually line up or list every single thing that has gone wrong over the last 2 years. Like we have very short memories with sport. We're very quick to be like, Dubai, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened. But when you actually go, okay, we had the Miami lights, we had the change of venues, Tom lined up every single thing that has gone wrong with the T100 over the last 2 seasons. And you sit back, I sat back, I was like, Jesus Christ. Like that is not good. I don't believe in getting rid of Sam Renouf. I think Sam Renouf, is doing something, a lot of what they're doing is new for them. And I believe in letting them sort of go. I don't think it's just Sam, although I understand the concept that the sort of somebody has to take accountability. But I think something has to seriously change. I think that they need to really, really, really get on top of not announcing races so late, not canceling races, not confirming or get everything sorted and then announce it. And if you can only announce 3 races, so be it. Like this idea that they need to have set things, I understand might be conditioned of their investment, but it just looks like, it's okay. Let's turn the attention away from T100. An event that we have both done and an event that I actually really love is Bahrain 70.3. I think it's a great event. And every single year, nobody knows the date until a month and a half before when they randomly announce it 6 weeks out. And then it's this mad rush to try to get as many people to sign up. And they wonder why it doesn't get many entrants. It's like, you guys don't fucking announce this until 6 weeks before. People need to play. It's like, stop doing that. And it's the same with T100. Stop doing this. Stop it. Just actually, you guys need to fucking get that shit sorted because it's really, really frustrating. You see the athletes. I mean, the fact that athletes are basically in open revolt now, there's so many athletes who aren't going to be in Qatar. Nobody seems to give a shit about their contracts. You've got athletes like Martin Van Riel putting out emotional posts, which I completely understand why he did it. I think his point about planning his season, I really felt that frustration. If you commit to something and then it keeps changing, what the fuck are you meant to do? And then this stuff happens. Something has to change. I don't think it's that Sam Renouf or anyone needs to lose their job. I just think they need to stop pretending that everything's fine and actually internally get their fucking act together and stop looking so it's meant to be the premier pro racing series in the sport, and it does not look at it because Ironman's coming out of this looking like they fucked up the broadcast in Marbella, that last kilometer between Yellow Gaines and Christian Blumenfeld. And we're like, yeah, it's not good, but you can sort of understand why. And then they come out and they put out a clip which shows what it could have been. I'm like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's something. They're looking like roses out of this, mate. They really are looking at, I think you're going to see so many athletes opt in for that series next year over. I mean, I know so many athletes There's athletes who have been like, oh, because of this, I know you're not racing the T100 next year. Yeah, I think that they need to do a lot of work to remedy this, because I've lost interest, faith, whatever you want to, like, I genuinely, this week, I'd forgotten that Qatar was next weekend. It wasn't until somebody in the group mentioned, I was like, shit, that's right, we still got Qatar. Like, yeah, I think they just need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. I kind of feel like where we got to with the Collins Cup, where it was a cool concept. They did it. It didn't work. They did it again. It still didn't work. They did it again. It really wasn't working. Okay, we need to change this. And I feel like that's where we're at. I'm not saying they need to get rid of the T100 series, but they did it. It didn't work. We've done it again. It didn't really work. They've announced changes, but they need to really honestly sit down and go, what is this? How are we going to do it? What are the things that matter? Does the T100 distance matter? Does the location matter? Like, what is it that actually matters to make this something? Because how they're doing it at the moment isn't only not working in terms of the fact that people aren't really that interested in the racing. It's not even being properly executed. So yeah, something needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. That was a big rant.
No. I mean, yeah, I hear you, man. And I think when you put all of the little things together, like Tom did in his article, it is. I don't see why race venues need to change. If you haven't got something dialed in, don't announce it. Only announce the things that are absolutely nailed on. The sport, if they are going to be relying on a age group racing base to fund their racing, which is the way it seems to be going at their events, then age group racing relies on people taking time off work, planning holidays, planning training, planning going places. You need to give the people that are the investors, basically in your series, the chance to actually invest their time and energy and money into it. And if you don't provide them with a clear-cut series of events that have set calendar times, then people aren't going to sign up for it, because they can go, I'll go do 70.3 instead because I know when that's going to be and it ain't going to move.
The other thing as well that we haven't talked about really, and I know this is some people in our group get quite passionate about this, but I was going to enter T100 Dubai this year. I was keen to do it. The dates worked out really well for me traveling. I was going to go to Dubai, then to Phuket. It was going to cost me nearly 800 Australian dollars to enter that race. Like, and this isn't a T100. This is just a triathlon. Like, the races are getting so expensive at the moment. And do you remember when they started the age group races and it came out the prices were crazy expensive? And like, no, we hear you. We said we were going to be more affordable. We're going to lower the prices to make it. And then, well, that's gone. Like, I don't understand why.
I mean, that's across triathlon, though.
Yeah.
A friend of mine tried to talk me into doing Ironman Barcelona next year, so I went onto the thing
$2,000
to check it out, and it was like 900 and something pounds.
Fuck.
And I was like, no, that's not something you just shell out for. That's ridiculous.
But you'd have more confidence in shelling that money out for Ironman Barcelona than I probably would. Like, I don't think I would enter a T100 race at the moment, just because I genuinely don't know if it's actually going to happen. And I'm not trying to be like unnecessarily unkind or dramatic here, but like, truly, there's this element of, is it going to happen a bit at the moment? Because it just doesn't seem to be secure. Or not even just that, the fact that it's like some races will be pro men and some races will be pro female. Look, I think the T100 cracked the code by accident this year. I think that the secret to their success is, if they're going to do stuff with WTCS, do it. Fraser weekend, we have WTCS Fraser, and then you have T100, great. Wollongong, WTCS Grand Final, T100 Wollongong, great. That to me is the model. If they really, really, really want to go into bed with World Triathlon, which I don't think is the best decision, just because I think World Triathlon complicates things. But that's how you do it. Align with an existing event or align with another event, because T100 doesn't have the draw power to get enough people there to actually create a crowd. You've got a T100 event. Like, to me, age group triathletes, and I don't like to talk about age groupers too much, but you've got the sort of two things. You've got the people who tend to focus more on short course, and they want to represent the country at the age group world champs in sprint or standard or super, whatever that is. And then you've got the Ironman, the 70.3, want to go to Kona, want to go to 70.3 worlds. They seem quite separate to me. Like, I understand there's people that do both, but like, my experience, the ones that focus on the short course stuff don't really. They might do one. So there's not that crossover. And I think that what you're actually then going to do is you're going to sort of increase the overall number of people at those events, which means you're going to have a better chance at the crowds. Those short course people will probably watch T100. We saw that in Wollongong, plus others will come. Yeah, I think, and then you're probably going to get the long course guys who are racing the T100 age group event. I know they didn't do that in Wollongong, but they could probably then watch the WTC events. I think that to me that's what they should do, because I think WTCS does a good job of finding locations that aren't the big city races, but are good locations. Like Algero in Italy, this race year was fantastic. Wollongong, fantastic. I mean, Hamburg. Imagine doing a T100 in Hamburg. Fuck. Like, although it would be so many laps, they need to make sure they have a lap counter. To me, that's the model that they need to pursue. Anyway, yeah, it just looked bad. Like the fact that it made mainstream news in Australia. It's the first time this year I think that triathlon has made the mainstream news, except for when Hauser won the world champs, and it's embarrassing. Like it's not good. It's not.
It
good.
was a meltdown. It was a total meltdown, and having everybody milling around at the finish line arguing was odd.
And that poor shot of Morgan Pearson, who they've got him back after dark to like hold up the finish tape. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
poor Morgan Pearson. Like,
I assume they did that because they wanted a shot for social media, not because he was like, I didn't get to finish my race.
exactly.
That's weird.
That was weird. I'm weirdly
Zoomed right into your face.
That's weird.
That's odd.
God, this camera's good. We get a lot closer view of me if you watch on YouTube right now, apparently. What the hell is... No, there we go. It's back to normal. Yeah. So sorry, guys, if you're probably already bored of this. I had another chance. I've thought about it a lot. I'm not saying burn down the PTO. I think it's these mistakes happen, and we need to give them we accept that it's... I don't think, again, there's no intent. The PTO intends to do the right thing. I fully understand. You know, they listen, they ask for feedback. When we give feedback, they come to us and either answer or ask for more. Like they're very, very open to it. They know this is a fuck up. If we think they're sitting there going, nah, we're like, I don't think anything we're saying isn't something that they're already aware of, and they're probably already trying to do things to fix, because it does genuinely seem, from my point of view, like they are always trying to do better. This just feels like massive oversights of things that they've probably talked in a meeting about a year ago, and then they're like, yeah, we'll get to that, and that just hasn't presented itself, or it's become less and less important now. They're like, fuck, we actually should have had something in place for this. So
what should we talk about now?
Well, there's a few bits and pieces to talk about, and the first one that I thought we would talk about is one of my favorite triathletes, a French triathlete who has a name that has been pronounced many different ways by many different commentators, has announced that 2026 will be his last season.
Yeah, which is interesting. I didn't expect this because it feels like he's only fairly recently stepped up to the longer distance, and I thought we had a good period of time with Vince Luis trying to go long. He's 36. I thought maybe he's going to go until he was 40 type thing. But it turns out he's toying with the idea of 2026 being his last season. And he said, I was talking with Alistair Brownlee last year in Dubai, and I said, oh, you just podiumed at the race. Are you going to continue to turn more into Ironman? He said, I'm actually thinking about retiring. And a couple of hours later, he announced it. He said to me, I'm just picking up random injuries. I can't train. I can't be bothered. And that's a bit like what's happening to me. And I think it's like your body's telling you, well, that's almost enough. And there are other things. And the other thing is, when your phone rings with job offers, that's also something else that tells you that maybe you should start to think about it. I just want one more good season with good races. And if at the end of 2026 I can retire and be content with what I've done, I think that'd be good.
I did learn something about Vincent Luis, is that his last name is actually Portuguese. So it is not Louis, it is Luis, or Luis. So it's a Portuguese last name. So that's how we're actually meant to pronounce it. So that was Georgia told me that in Phuket the other day. I had heard this since Roth. So this is, again, one of those like rumors you hear. I'd heard that after Roth, he basically said to everybody, next year's his last season. He wants to race Ironman Hawaii, and then that'll be it. And it was funny because I sort of knew that, and I'm talking with his manager about some stuff. I was like, oh, so what's Vince's plans? He's like, oh, we're not sure yet. But I'm like, okay, interesting. And then this came out. I'm like, yeah, okay, this sort of confirms it. Yeah, I'm devastated, mate. Again, he's one of those athletes that I feel like this is probably the first year we've seen him truly commit to long course. And
agreed.
because he was still trying to go to Tokyo, Paris last year. And I feel like what we've seen is the T100, the 20-minute draft does not suit him because he is not able to stick with those guys on the bike, and he just gets basically made obsolete very, very quickly. Whereas Challenge Roth this year, basically he did those T100 events. He got spat out the back on the bike, and I thought, no chance. Then in Roth, he does surprisingly well. And I think, fuck, actually, maybe he could be quite good. I'd love to see him just go, fuck the T100, I'm going to do Ironman. I'd really like to see him keep going, but I get it. Like, if you keep getting injured, I mean, even myself, right? Like, I'd probably get into a similar point where I'm like, there's just always something. Every time I want to do a race, something comes up, and it's like, is this the universe telling me it's time to stop? Yeah, I think it's sad, to be honest, because he's
Yeah, I do.
great athlete.
He's a really quite iconic in the sport, isn't he? And I do like his different helmets and
Fuck you.
costumes and stuff. Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
But no, I think the guy is interesting. He's a multi-dimensional character. He's not just triathlete single focus. He has elements to his character all over the place, and he's not the kind of person who will struggle for work
He's
when
cool.
the sport comes to an end. Hey?
He's cool. Like, Vince is
Yeah, he's cool. He will have a job in media, an opportunity to do commentary, to work in a media landscape, and probably multiple other things as well. So I see an interesting and dynamic future for him outside the sport. Well, outside of professional racing, probably still within the sport, maybe beyond. So yeah, if he's starting to feel like the injuries are mounting up, it's sad, but probably sensible, because we have seen some athletes push too far and go too far and start to really have a stuttery end to their career rather than the smooth landing, which is probably what he's hoping for.
I feel we see this with the short course athlete. I really do think that you have sort of two schools of the short course athletes. You have the athletes who are like a Jan Frodeno, who are like, I'm done with short course, I'm going long, and that's it. They fully commit, they go all in, and we see what Jan Frodeno goes on to do. And then you have the short course athletes, and I think this is probably a fair few of them, who they don't really want to go long. Like, their heart is in short course. That's the sort of racing they like. They like the fact that they're shoulder to shoulder. It's not this solo effort. They kind of feel like they have to go long because they're not really able to be as competitive at short course anymore. And this 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing doesn't really work. And they sort of just fumble away until they fizzle out a little bit. Like, again, greatest short course athlete of all time, Alistair Brownlee. I think he did it. Javier Gomez. I know he won multiple 70.3 world titles, but he just sort of fizzled out. I feel like there's so many of these people that, and Vincent Luis to me seems like somebody who might be like Martin Van Riel, at the opposite. I've gone long, goodbye short course, here I go. Yellow Games, goodbye short course, here I go.
Yeah.
Vince has done it, but he's left it so late that I feel like that room to sort of, if he had done this, 3 years ago, because he won his world title in 2020, I think, which was that one day sprint, and then he has been sort of not really either injured or whatever. I feel like we would have seen better, but yeah, maybe he's left his run too late. Now, he wants to race Kona. Hawaii is obviously his big goal next year. Based on his performances this year, do you think he'll qualify for Kona?
I can't see where he's going to qualify yet. I don't see. Yeah, I mean, what Roth showed was that maybe he's got that in him. But, I think he's got a bit of work to do.
Again, I was talking with GTB about this in Phuket. I had a good chat I spent a fair bit of time with GTB. She's wonderful, wonderful athlete, person. And I was suggesting well, I think at first they were talking about Ironman New Zealand. And I was like, yes, but you've got those pesky Norwegians who are going to Ironman New Zealand. I suggested Ironman South Africa could be a good course for Vince. I said the only problem you have with South Africa is the fact that the swim is often cancelled, which would be very, very bad for him. Because it has to be early. It has to be an early attempt at qualification.
Oh, totally. South Africa would suit him, the rolling bike.
That's what I thought. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. I do think he may struggle to qualify, actually, just based on what we've seen this year. I hope not. I'd love to see him race Hawaii. I don't think we'll see him. I don't know. It's weird because we've only got that one sample to sort of check by. And he did Roth with a torn calf, so he was pretty good. So yeah, I'd just like to see him keep racing, but yeah.
Yeah,
Good on you.
same. It came as quite a surprise to me, and I really thought we had a real tilt at being a long course athlete in him, rather than just this. I want to have a good year. I want to race Ironman Hawaii, almost as an experience rather than an effort. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's it then. You're just gonna have 1 year, try and qualify for Hawaii, try and race it so that you can say you did, and then wander off into the sunset. Fair enough, if that's what he wants to do, no drama. Like he's his own person. But it is a bit like, oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
And I can say, as one of his sponsors, it doesn't exactly fill me with confidence about, yeah, like you're exactly right. It's like, what's the actual goal? Is it to go there and, is it just to do the one Ironman and then Hawaii and that's sort of it? Or,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, it happens. It's actually quite upsetting to see how many athletes of those, like, my real favorites. I guess it shows that I'm getting older too. I'm moving through that retirement phase. We've lost so many of the big names recently, and
Oh, totally. And yeah, you start to see the names that have been around disappear. And then there'll come a day where you look back on the sport and you don't recognize anybody, and you're like, where did they all go? The people that we grew up with, that were our generation of athletes. It's kind of, I have a very similar thing with cricket now. When I tip my toe into the cricket, I'm like, where's everybody gone? Oh, no, yeah, let's not talk about it.
we're talking about the cricket.
Let's not talk about it.
Second test starts tomorrow, soon.
Tomorrow, I think.
But when the show comes out, it will be going, and we have a second group chat now talking triathlon. What's that thing called? Talking cricket, which I've gone from absolutely hating to absolutely loving in like the space of about 2 hours, to be honest. So
Yeah, it was quite the journey. It was quite the journey the other day, wasn't it?
let's stick on the topic of retirements, because it is not the only time this week that we've heard about the retirement of athletes. Els Visser, Dr. Els Visser, has also announced her retirement from pro triathlon as she plans to return to practicing medicine.
Yeah, she has called time. I'm trying to find a quote from her, but
She's racing Busso this weekend. Is that going to be her last race, I think?
yeah, she's racing Bustleton.
To
And yeah,
become a doctor.
she's off to become a doctor. Good for her. I mean, she's obviously had her career, she's had her time, and as we know well, pro triathlete is not the easiest way to earn a living. And if you've got the opportunity to be a doctor, then that's
Why wouldn't you?
nice way to earn a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, questionable. I've watched that show, The Pit. I don't know if maybe it is such a nice way to turn an income, but it's a bit more stable, I think, than pro triathlon. For people who know, Els Visser has that incredible story where she survived the shipwreck, swam however many kilometers to save everybody. She has been an athlete that is always in the conversation for me. Whenever I see Els Visser on a start list, I'm like, no, she could win it. She could not. Like, she adds an element of excitement for me for races because, yeah, it's a little unknown, I suppose, is what you'd say. I was a little surprised as well to see her retirement, but again, I think, looking at the way things are going, I'm not terribly surprised. But no, Els has been a great athlete to follow. I hope that everything goes really, really well for her moving forward. It's been good to see her race, and good luck. That's all I really wanted to say. Nothing major to add.
Absolutely.
Where to next, mate? Do you want to go to some previews? There was a few results, but not really anything I'm that keen to talk about.
No, there was nothing.
We got some races coming up this weekend.
crash. I felt a bit sorry for him.
Yeah, let's have a chat about Carl Smith, because
Carl Smith has broken his collarbone, which he's referred to as a silly little low-speed bike crash. So yeah, collarbone break will definitely end your season early. He said, silly little low-speed crash and stopped straight on my shoulder. Should have been quicker. Just wanted to say thank you for being my saving grace to all the amazing Rotorua Hospital staff who are such unsung heroes. And I'll be back, just happy to put 2025 in my rear view and look forward to 2026. if you're going to break a collarbone, the first week of December or the last week of November is not a bad time to do it.
Yeah, Kyle's I really do feel for Kyle this year because I know that he started the year in Singapore and he couldn't race. Remember, he was in Singapore, but like something happened, so he didn't end up starting. And then he's just being invisible kind of this year. And like same thing. And I was like, fuck, that's right. Kyle Smith was actually meant to race Qatar because I knew he'd packed up and gone back to New Zealand. He'd had some bad races and was sort of like just trying to recover and get ready for Qatar. And then this happened. Kyle's a great athlete, great guy, and he has just really struggled this year. So firstly, speed of recovery, mate. We don't want to see anybody get hurt, and hopefully it's fast and we get you back to being your best. I'd really like to see Kyle Smith do Ironman stuff next year.
Yeah.
I think he'd be quite good at it.
And his coach, Dan Lorang, said, let's leave behind the year 2025 and look forward to an exciting year 2026. You know what you are carrying inside of you. We just have to put the puzzle pieces again together in the right order.
I do know who's coached by Dan Lorang. There you go. It's cool.
There you go.
Oh, well, Kyle, mate, good luck. We'd like to see Kiwi boy doing well. Hopefully we'll see you at Ironman New Zealand next year in March. That would be good. It's time to turn our attention to some races that are coming up this weekend, Jimbo, because even though we are in December, how the hell are we in December? There's still a few races. And the first one I wanted to talk about has a certain man on the start list who we talk about fairly often on this show. I don't know if you know his name, but I'm going to see if you know it. It's Lionel Sanders. Lionel Sanders is actually making his return to racing this week.
Where's he racing?
Ironman 70.3 La Quinta.
La Quinta. Is he?
Now, as always,
Sanders comes back then.
Head to Tripole Athlete on Instagram. I saw that they're just under 7,000 followers, so give them a follow. Let's get him over the 7,000 mark. All the start lists, as always. Thank you very much. Makes our job a lot easier. The start list for the men's race in La Quinta 70.3. Lionel Sanders, Sam Long, Matt Hansen, Mark Dubrick, Jackson Laundry, Ari Clow, Martin Uola, and then a whole Simon Shee, bunch of names that I do not recognize. In the women's, we have Tamara Jewett, Jackie Herring, Ginny Metzler, Stephanie Clutterbuck, and also a whole bunch of names that I do. Kirsten Casper, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah, a whole bunch of names I don't really know. But obviously the big thing here is Lionel Sanders making his return to racing. You excited, mate?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Lionel goes. Apparently he's fueling solely with spinach for this race.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. Isn't that a sign of how bad things are? Well, you said that.
Yeah,
I was like
50-50 look on your face.
Is he actually wouldn't surprise me. So Lionel had an injury this year. He's had a few. He had a stress fracture in his ribs earlier because of swimming too much.
Yeah, then he had that red S thing.
Yeah, and then he didn't have something else. He's had another problem. That's why he couldn't race Nice. Yeah. Lionel.
The comeback is real. I think Sam Long is probably favourite for this race. But I would like to see Lionel have a good race, have a good, comfortable first race back after his time off and just see him perform well, execute well, and do a good race that sets him on the path for better things to come.
Where are we at with Lionel? Where's our head at? What's going on with Lionel Sanders?
I don't know. I don't know how he's still here, isn't he? He's still doing it. So
has the shine worn off a bit, do you think? I don't know. I feel like I get excited when I see him on a start list. But yeah, I'm a bit like, fucking yeah, you're right. Oh, he's still here. Okay, but that's still happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'll have to leave judgment on where I stand with Lionel until I've seen him have a few races and see what
trajectory.
Yeah, that's the one. See what one of those he's on. Because at the moment, I could see him just fizzling out now. You know, he's been up and down so much. And this recent red S thing that he's got, I hope he's got over it, and I hope that he's got over his injuries, and I hope he comes back and does well. But long have I given up having any confidence in him coming back and doing well, because ultimately he can look like he's about to go on a roll, but secretly in the background, he's doing something that none of us know about that come out 6 months later. And you're like, what, you were doing that? Why were you doing that? Or why haven't you been doing that forever? Do you know what I mean? Why haven't you been fueling properly? How do you not know this?
I feel like looking at the next couple of years, I really struggle to see a pathway to like a world title for Lionel. I don't think he's going to win a world title in Nice. The course doesn't suit him, and the swim is going to be so like the fact that there's so much swim bike power these days that like Lionel can absolutely ride the house down, but he's then also have an outrun people like Christian and Gustav and Casper and Yella and these people who can also run sub 110 off a very hard bike. 70.3, I don't see him winning a world title. Kona, he hasn't been good in Kona since 2017, so I don't see a pathway there for him either. But then he does an Oceanside.
Fucking ages ago.
I know it was. Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
that's when I did my 70.3 PB. And since then, I've been on my own little absolute nightmare journey.
So's he.
It feels like ages ago.
Like, yeah, I do struggle to see a pathway here because there's just so many other good guys. And I feel like he does an Oceanside race where you're like, Jesus Christ, he's still, fucking right there. But then, yeah, he's he's an enigma. This is why sort of every time he comes up, we just talk about him for like 5 or 10 minutes because you're exactly right. I mean, even his YouTube videos, which I don't watch religiously, but the last few or a couple of the recent ones, I've had to just turn off because I'm just like, I can't handle this. It's like almost upsetting to watch to me where you're just like, this is a guy who's not well, who's very, there's always this element of he's erratic, but it's almost like the fact that we're like doubling back to things that we've doubled back on before, and now we're back to them again before leaving them and going back to them again. And it's like, mate, you actually make him, it feels like he's gaslighting me a little bit. Like I sit there, I'm like, did I imagine this or did he talk about this? And then I start freaking out. I'm like, am I yeah, I actually find it like almost not good for me to engage with that.
Yeah, my mental health can't cope with his YouTube videos.
Yeah,
that's know that.
But to the actual racing this weekend, you're right. So I think I'm very keen to see Kirsten Casper race 70.3, former short course American athlete.
What she can do.
Tamara Jewett's been very quiet this year. We know she's got a great run, but her bike has absolutely let her down. Did a few Ironmans this year. Hasn't really featured, to be honest. Amelia Critt's also the Canadian short course athlete. I just saw her on the start list too. So again, I always get excited to see the short course people, see how they go when they step up. It's, North American race. I think that Mark Dubrick could actually do quite. Joe Skipper's on this. That's weird because I know Joe's not racing. I don't know why Joe's on this. Why would Joe even put himself on? Anyway, I think Lionel will probably win this just because he's a Lionel. Him and Sam. Sam's had a long year. Is Sam racing this and Qatar? Because Sam's a T100.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure he'll actually be at this race. I don't know.
Sam's with Navy SEALs now, isn't he? Isn't he getting Navy?
Yes, he's training with Steven Seagal.
I saw that. And I thought, talk about the most American thing you've ever heard. Like, I'm going to go train with the Navy SEALs.
It really is, isn't it? It's like, I'm taking all the philosophy.
Just get in the pool, mate. Just get in the pool and swim.
You may, are you? The philosophies of the special forces. Awesome.
Very American. I think we're probably going to see. I mean, Jackson could do well. Jackson's another athlete that I don't think gets the credit he deserves. He's had some great results, but I think Lionel will probably win this. Hanson will probably run the fastest. Yeah, cool. That's La Quinta 70.3. Do you want to pick? I'm going to pick Lionel and Kirsten Casper.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
Mate,
then we've
easy.
Bahrain, no?
We do have Bahrain 70.3. Where's the start list for there?
Georgia Taylor Brown, India Lee, Marlene de Boer,
Natalie Van Hoeverden,
Rachel Dapko. And then on the men's side, what we got?
Vincent Luis. Casper's not racing. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Chase McQueen as well, actually.
Chase McQueen, yeah.
See, that's interesting, isn't it? There's a fucking, my camera is freaking me out. There is some interesting names on it. Mostly Vasco Vilaça and Chase McQueen, two short course guys. I'm keen to see Vasco Vilaça do a 70.3, although I saw footage on his time trial bike recently and it looked awful. It looked awful. I like Vasco though as an athlete, so I think Georgia Taylor Brown's going to quite comfortably win this. I think Natalie Van Koeverden will probably be second. India Lee, good to see India's over there. Obviously, it's the big team event for Bahrain, victorious as well.
Yeah.
It's a great race.
I want to see Georgia Taylor Brown have a stunning race here.
It was good to talk to Georgia, like again in Phuket. I was sort of having a chat with her about where her career's at and what she's sort of thinking about doing. And she was saying that she did Marbella this year because she wasn't really, like, she qualified. She's like, okay, well, I'll do it, and didn't really expect to do it more. She said she enjoyed Marbella so much this year. She enjoyed the expo, the crowds, everything. She now really wants to do Nice. She said it's actually she sort of wasn't that sure about doing long course, and she was saying that the experience in Marbella completely reinvigorated her excitement for racing long distance triathlon.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is fantastic. And I was saying that
Marbella was uniquely good.
Was it?
You know, it, like she said, even the experience of the expo. I'm not normally one for expos, but it was right on the beach, man. You could just walk in and out of it into the sand and the sea. It was a really cool race experience. It was probably one of the best I've been to.
I have been known to take a bit of a grandstand with some pro athletes and tell them what I think is going to happen with their career in the past. Like, I know that time in Singapore at the after party of Super League, I was very drunk and telling Cassandra Beaugrand I'm convinced she's going to win a gold medal. Well done, Tim Ford there. I mean, yeah, huge risk saying Cassandra win gold. But I was saying to Georgia that I was basically having the conversation where, to me, I've always seen her as an athlete, like one of those sort of strength-based athletes, like a Katie Zafiris, as a like those athletes that you sort of expect to do well at middle distance, a bit like a Jess Limont when her runs right and things like that. And Georgia was like, she'd never seen herself as a long distance athlete. Like, the thought had just been like, not really there. But yeah, she's saying she's actually really getting into it. And she's now starting to think more about the wind tunnel testing and actually like the nutrition. And she was saying it's just something she's never really had to worry about. She actually quite likes it. There's this whole new set of things that she needs to unpack to understand. And I thought, fucking hell, if I've already got to come in fourth at 70.3 worlds with no idea about nutrition, considering that she's very well rounded, and you know, she basically hasn't done any speed work really running this year. I think that, yeah, if we see her fully commit to it. Earlier, what we were talking about Vince, goodbye short course, I'm all in on long course. I think we can see Georgia Taylor Brown actually win a world title. Like, she is that sort of athlete to me that is, you know, she could do very, 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 very well at long distance racing. And I would love to see it because, yeah, I'm a huge Georgia Taylor Brown fan. And
yeah, agreed. I want to see her, you know, take the course record in Bahrain. I think she's got it in her.
She's been getting better like, she's really had this not like exponential, but like quite a consistent improvement all year since she started, because she didn't race for the first half of this year. And yeah, I don't want to see her do super try next year. I want to see her just do middle. I'd love to see her do an Ironman. I think it'd be great. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Georgia's going to win the women's race. I'm going to put my money on Vasco Vilaça, actually. I think he's going to do quite well.
I'd like to see Vince do well.
I was disappointed to see Emil Holm not on this start list.
He's too busy in his disco pain cave, man.
Did you see that? It was crazy.
I like that.
I did too. There's another race happening this weekend, which is actually the last professional Ironman event for the year, and that is all the way down in Western Australia, down under. We have Ironman WA, Busselton. It's the Asia Pacific Championships, mate. Are you excited for this one?
Not in the slightest.
No. On the men's side, we have Nick Thompson, Matt Burton, Mike Phillips, Sam Appleton, Dennis Chevrolet, Jesper Svensson, Max Newman, interesting, Mitch Kibbe, Nick Baldwin, Casper's on every. I know Casper's not racing. Casper's in Poland. Caleb Noble, Ollie Turner. That's interesting. From Jersey, Guernsey, something.
Little flash from the past. He's doing all right, man. His long course game is increasing and improving. Got his first podium recently.
And then in the women's, we've got Fenella Langridge, Lotte Wilms, Nita Darren, Els Visser making her last race, Rebecca Clark. She's had a rough year with injury, so good to see her back. Alana Siffert, Charlotte McShane doing an Ironman. Again, we talk about the short course athletes stepping up. That's good. Yeah, look, to be honest, the men's race, there's a bit. This is where Sam Laidlaw was meant to race, but made the decision to not race quite last minute. But you know, Nick Thompson was probably the strongest Australian we saw in Nice. Very, very good swim biker. Very good swim biker. Run, work in progress. But then you got Matt Burton, who broke the course record in Cairns last year, has had a crash, I think, in South Africa, and we haven't really seen him. Home race for him. Mike Phillips, again, I worked with Mike, broke the course record in New Zealand by like 10 minutes. We thought everything was on, and then had a crash. Then he broke his hand. This is the race he's been preparing for basically since June. So I'm expecting Mike to do really, really well. But Dennis Chevrolet, also a very good athlete, very good runner. We saw him outrun Jan Frodeno in Germany a couple of years ago. But Max Newman, mate, again, what the hell has happened to Max Newman? You know, ever since he beat Christian in that Ibiza T100 event, he's been MIA. He started 70.3 Worlds, DNF'd. He did Ironman St. George 70.3. I think he was like 12th or something. Like, what's going on with Max Newman?
Who knows, mate? Who knows?
Who knows?
But he'll be here, and so we might have a clue after this race. I think this race benefits from not having Sam Laidlow in it.
I agree.
You know, you're going to have a more competitive field. I think Laidlow would have come and just
Dominate.
taken the win. Yeah. So it'll be good to see these guys go up against each other. I did like Nick Thompson's social media post when he heard that Laidlow was going to be racing. It's amused me somewhat.
His haircut's atrocious, though. Just shave it. Just get rid of that horrible hair. In the women's race, Fenella Langridge, we know that Fenella had to have, quite serious surgery at the start of this season and has been on the long road to recovery. So, it'll be good to see her back. As we said, Els Visser retiring. Lotte Wilms is always up there or thereabouts, always at the pointy end of races. We saw her have that incident in Cairns where she spent like 10 minutes, it felt like, trying to find her Garmin watch for the run in Cairns, which wasn't ideal. But no, I'm going to put, again, a very biased decision here. I probably think we're going to see Mike, Matt Burton, and Nick in a bit of a three-way battle, I imagine. I hope Mike gets out on top. It'd be good for Mike. And then I think we may see Lotte Wilms or Fenella Langridge probably fight it out for the top spot in the women's race.
I'd like to see Els Visser have a good race, though.
I'd love to see her finish on a high like that.
Yeah, really go out strong.
That would be really, really good. But mate, yeah, look, that's sort of it this week. What we are going to do, I'll probably talk about this now just because we're wrapping up. As I said at the start, so we've got, after this episode, there'll be 2 more episodes this year. Next week, what we'll do is we will announce the nominees for the podcast awards. We like to do that each year. We have a Google form. And then what we will do is I'll put up the form in the WhatsApp group for our patrons and they can all vote. And then the week after, so we'll also preview Qatar T100, the grand final. I quickly saw the start list as we were scrolling through Tripole Athlete, and there's a lot of red lines to that start list.
Yeah. It's not looking healthy, is it?
It's not. But we will preview that. We will then go through the nominees for the podcast, which will also probably end up being a bit of a year in review a little bit, right? Because we obviously have to talk about why we've picked certain things. We might even have to agree on them. And then the week after that, we will come back. Haven't let our patrons vote. How we always do it is me and you get a vote, and then if it's a split decision, the patrons get the decider. So then it's basically whoever gets 2-1 wins the very prestigious podcast award. I still remember how excited Flora Duffy was to find out she won our female triathlete of the year in 2021. Like literally, you could see the emotion on her face as I told her before we hit record on our interview many years ago. And yeah, that'll be 2020. What year? 2025's last episode of the year. And then, as I said, we will do a weekly bonus episode. They're not an hour. They're probably about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes each. We're going to record them over the next 2 weeks as well. So I think we're going to do double recording days for the next 2 weeks to get everything wrapped up before we go on leave. And then that is it. We will be back in January. So
Patron of the podcast, you don't have to miss a week of triathlon content because you get a bonus episode every week until we're back.
And what we do is, again, to our patrons who are listening, let us know the topics you'd like us to discuss. We've already got a few of things we're going to go into a bit of depth about. They always want to know about sponsorship, so we'll definitely do an episode about that. I think we'll do another sort of where's the sport at, those sort of things. And then maybe another. We did an Alistair Brownlee deep dive last year, so we'll probably pick another athlete to do a bit of a deep dive about. I was actually thinking, yeah, there's like maybe it is, somebody, I don't know, but we'll find that out later. But yeah, that's the plan. Oh, I could be Lionel. Yeah, our unfiltered thoughts, the real truth about what we think about Lionel Sanders.
Bonus episode thoughts on Lionel Sanders, yeah.
Bonus episode
On
thoughts.
public-facing thoughts.
Jimbo, if people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T-Ford14 on Instagram, and I'm at Bale.James85 on Instagram. We are at Talking Triathlon on Instagram. And if you join the Patreon group, you get access to the monthly bonus episodes, the social group, the WhatsApp group, but also the 4 pre-mentioned bonus episodes that keep you going through Christmas. And also you know, all manner of access to having a chat and seeing what's going on. If you're not a member of the Patreon group and you want to leave a comment, do that on YouTube because that's where we're most likely to see them.
Exactly. So that what I say to people too is, even if you don't want to be a permanent patron, just sign up for while we're on leave, get the bonus episodes, and then you can cancel afterwards. But you also get every other bonus episode we've recorded. So
The unfiltered thoughts. Hermione's going to join as a Patreon member now, only for Christmas.
of course he is. He's like, shit, I heard that Tim and James are actually going to give their honest thoughts about me.
Deep dive.
I might need a therapy session after that one, to be honest. Jimbo, a pleasure as always. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. Thank you very much.
Cheerio.